Yeah. We get lit, we get fly, we get drunk, we get high, but to the masses, we a podcast called Verified. I am your host. I am JopauL. Make sure you check us out at the verifiedpodcast.com. We are brought to you by Radio Pushers and Results in No Hype. We are the most exclusive platform, and we only interview verified artists. And right now, we got the macho, head honcho, MC BRAVADO, always dropping hot shit like after I eat some tacos. MC BRAVADO in the fucking house. And that was all freestyle right off the top of the head because, I got the bars, used to be lyric. But we have a very special guest. I've been a fan of his for a real long time. Probably one of the sweetest guys in the world. I hope that it doesn't damage your street credibility, but he's a fucking sweet. He's a sweetheart. He's easy to work with. And in this business that we are in called music, one of the blessings is being able to work with somebody that is a blessing to work with, and he's easy to work with. But you've probably heard him on songs with Joel Ortiz. He's also a teacher, so you've probably seen him in the classroom, and he's multifaceted. He could do, many things. He wears many hats. Without further ado, MC BRAVADO in his house. What up, my brother? How are you?
Bro, thank you so much for the very kind intro. I appreciate that. I can say all the same things about you. I'm really happy to be here. I'm really fucking hyped for you with what you have going on with this platform. You deserve it. Yeah.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I mean, listen, it's been a long time coming. This pandemic has, affected us in crazy different ways. And, from a musical standpoint, I just haven't wanted to release music. So I had to develop something to get my voice out there. And I figured I've been in this industry for so long and I've never really utilized my connections or peoples to do really anything because I was always, I was always that cool white guy that, was just trying to, go along to get along. I didn't want to be the loudest, boisterous voice in the room. But now that I have some longevity, I could be fucking loud and obnoxious and do what I want because this is my shit. But yeah, I created this, out of a necessity to kind of interact with people when it's a time that you can't really socialize in person. So as much as I would love to do this in person and kick it with you, in person, we're going to have to go, according to CDC guidelines and go according to Zoom until things get back to normal. But speaking about the pandemic, how are you doing? How are you managing? How are you holding up? How's your family? Talk to me. Because mental health is very, very important. And I like to stress that on all of my podcasts. So first, let me start out as a good host and saying, mentally, how are you doing? And then we'll get to spiritually, lyrically, realistically, and all of that good stuff.
No, I mean, how it feels as an artist to kind of have your most cathartic thing kind of pulled out from under you in terms of being able to do the live shows. I can't sit here and say that hasn't affected my mental health. It has, because, some people go to the gym, some people box. For me, it's getting on stage and bearing it all, and having that taken away affected me monetarily. I can't play with my band. Some of my best friends, we played a show opening for Jizza about a year ago, and we haven't seen each other really since. And that weighs heavy. You know what I mean? That 1000% weighs heavy, but you dust yourself off and you decide how you're going to make the best out of a terrible situation. And for us, it's been, okay, what can we do? Well, we can solidify our business model. We can make more content. We can do all of those things. And we found a pivot, and we've pursued that pivot and become a more well-oiled machine. If I was playing 3-4 shows a week, I don't think we could have made some of those upgrades. So it's like, I would never call this a blessing in disguise, but anybody who does what we do and has to scrap and claw, you make do, you make the best of it, and you keep it moving. So, I mean, all in all, all my people are okay, and I feel very lucky for that. I have people close to me that are compromised, in terms of their immune systems and things they're going through. At this point, they made it through, they're vaccinated. I myself get vaccinated in a few weeks, and I feel like we're coming out of this thing, and we're going to go. Maybe we'll go not go back to just coughing on random strangers in line. You know what I mean? Maybe this will be. Hey, we should show some consideration there now.
I agree. I mean, it's like when you think about it, it's like before the pandemic, we were all raw dogging it, breathing everyone's air.
Oh man,
sharing blunts. Going in for the dat, you know what I'm saying? And with girls that I see, I would always kiss hello because it's like, hey, how you doing, pretty girl? It's like We're breathing everyone's air. So it's like we were raw dogging the shit. We were reckless before and you know what? People are still reckless. So let me take this opportunity to say, would you guys just put on your fucking mask until fucking we've reached herd immunity and at least 85% of the country is vaccinated, and stop with you fucking anti-vaccine culture jerk offs. It's science. Do you realize that there's a reason why you're not a scientist and I'm not a scientist? Because we're not smart enough. Okay, let's trust in what is an assigned curriculum in school. Remember, you go to science class until you know all of that fucking scientific fucking shit and how to do it. Shut the fuck up and just fucking get the vaccine and put your mask on.
Yeah, please. I agree. And this is people have said to me like, okay, well, the turnaround was so quick. Obviously this thing is politicized till there's no tomorrow, right? We got to acknowledge that. But like beyond that,
I hate it that a medical issue has turned into politics. It's almost to the point where it's like, I mean, thank God, like people around me now know what the fucking deal is because I'm in New York and we were hit hardest and first, so we kind of know how to act. But it was almost to a point where it's like, if you were wearing a mask, you were a Democrat. If you were not wearing a mask, you were Trump. That's what I'm saying.
And it's we got to turn that off as a people. We have to be the adults in the room as a people. I've been disappointed in people for the fact that, I was a teacher prior to jumping into music full time, and like my students engaging in debate had a better sense of decorum than a lot of people I know on Facebook with respectfully disagreeing and saying X, Y, and Z. But when it comes to the science, bro, like being candid, keeping it 100, like I politically am kind of like a moderate, but when it comes to something like getting vaccinated, I'm going to do it. April 2nd is my appointment. Like, I'm not going to argue with logic and science. I'm not going to take how I feel and let that bleed over into how I operate in an intelligent fashion. Like, that's just not, I see too much of that, and it bothers the living hell out of me.
I mean, if you've watched any of my stories, over the past 8, 9, 10 months, or even further, you could see how much it's bothered me. I try to keep it as calm as possible. That's why I drink and I smoke, so this way, so I keep nice and relaxed, because once I get going, it's like, I will start snapping on fucking everybody, because it's the dumbest thing in the world to not pay attention to science and pay attention to a former political leader that until the day he stepped into the presidency did not have one fucking day of experience in the political field. Where I always talk about, when I worked for the bank, when we would choose, what businesses we would actually lend to, there was a barrier of entry, that we would have to consider. Like, okay, what's the barrier of entry to get into this business? So what's the barrier of entry to get into a presidency? Nothing. He literally walked into a deli and said, this looks like a good country. I think I'll buy it. And flooded the market with fucking publicity. And he was already fucking, famous and had fucking, like diehard fans and, almost like a cult. And they fucking got him in the fucking White House. Thank God we were able to fucking, switch it up. And now we have at least a light at the end of the tunnel. But that's enough about politics, because I'll fucking go on forever. So, MC BRAVADO.
I understand.
Yeah. I mean, and my heart pressure, I need to keep it low. And I wanted to touch on what you said about, having people that are compromised around you. It's like, I probably would feel the same way, even if I didn't have my father, who just basically had triple bypass open heart surgery, a bunch of months ago. And it's like his immune system was compromised. I was his caretaker. People didn't realize that, I don't want to be around. I don't care about going to these parties. I don't care about fucking this girl or that girl or anything. It's like, if I get a cold and give it to him, he could die. I'm his caretaker. Right. I'm still wearing a mask, a double mask, when I go and take care of him. Thank God, next week when I get my second shot and I'm vaccinated, I can't wait for 10 days after that, where I just go and take the mask off and we could actually see each other's fucking handsome faces, and I could fucking hug him and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm glad we have, a light at the end of the tunnel, and I want to, make sure that people understand that there are other people that are out there that are still compromised, and you not getting the vaccine is almost being complicit to the problem, which is fucking stupidity. And that's it. It's stupidity. I mean, that's just it. Anyways, let's moving on. So MC Bravado, Big Rich, Sir Richard the Lionheart.
Richard Lionheart, yeah.
I want to talk about, like, you know, I mean, we get a little in depth, you know, on this podcast lately. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, you know, any of the most recent episodes, but it's like I like to take a deep dive almost into the psyche, you know, of who you are, of who built, you know, MC Bravado. So I want to talk about Little Richard, you know, Little Richie running around. Like, what did your parents do for a living? You know, talk and paint the picture of, like, you know, of really early, you know, Little Rich before he was MC Bravado. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I grew up in New York. Both my parents are from the Bronx. I grew up like an hour north of the city first it was Rockland County and then it was Orange County. My parents split, got divorced when I was real young. Was blessed with a stepfather that took me in as his own and gave me two amazing siblings afterwards. And since then, him and my mom have gone their own way, but, you know, we're still great. We're still cool. He's a great man. I've actually been really fortunate to the point that I almost feel guilty sometimes in terms of male role models, because some people don't have one. I have dad one and dad two. I call them both that. You know, one picked me up every other weekend and took me to dinner on Wednesdays and was in my life regardless of where him and my mom were at. And the other one, you know, coached my football teams and, you know, disciplined me. And I hit him with the "you're not my dad" and all that bullshit that any rebellious kid would say. And he stayed in the pocket, tough, and did his thing, you know. So I'm exceedingly grateful for my upbringing. My dad was actually a police officer in New York City, same as his dad before him. Okay. You know, it's been everything that's happened in our country in terms of the police. You know, a lot of it has been warranted, but it's been a complicated feeling for me because I know the man that my dad is, I know the man that my grandfather was, and I know the stock that it takes to make an exceptional police officer. So when I hear blanket statements about all police, especially being in hip hop, I feel kind of a type of way, you know.
As you should. I mean, as we all have. I mean, I don't think the sense of wokeness has really hit us as much as, you know, as it has over this past, you know, year. You know, after seeing, you know, the tragic death of George Floyd, you know, you have to re-examine what the hell's going on here.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And you know, and I feel like the far right, you know, use the term against, you know, the left of the you know, oh, you guys said defund the police, you know, and you know, you can't take away money from the police, you know, and then, you know, they're like, you know, all blue lives matter, but yet, you know, they're the ones, you know, storming the Capitol and beating the police with the actual, you know, blue lives matter, you know, all blue lives matter, you know, fucking signs and flags and shit. Now, my belief, you know, real fast, and I'm going to let you go on with it, is I believe that there needs to be a major reform into the police, and I'm going to kind of explain just one little theory that I had. So, growing up in Staten Island, I had a whole bunch of friends that their parents would not allow a black person into the house. Now, these thoughts are conditioned to those kids, no matter how much I say, well, blacks are, you know, normal people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally said it on a story the other day. I was like, if you strip all of our skin down to the bone, every single one of us looks exactly the same. Every single one of us, our blood is blue before it breaches the surface and turns red. It's like, you know, so it's like we're all human beings and we're all here. But if you grew up in a household where that was okay, that black people were not allowed in the house, how can you be an objective officer given your upbringing? You're brainwashed, you know, pretty much by your parents' ideology, similar to, you know, extremist radical terrorists, you know, who are saying, you know, all the white men are infidels, they're all bad, you know, like kill them all, you know, like don't trust Americans are bad, like day in, day out, day in, day out. So this reform that I'm talking about needs to take a deep dive into the psyche of who their parents are. That's why I like to ask, you know, what your parents are. This way I like to see what kind of crazy motherfucker you might be who I'm talking to. So this way I can get on your level. So, but you seem kind of normal. So we're good, Bravado. But I feel like the reform, in all seriousness, I feel like the reform needs to take a deep dive and go into, the psyche of that individual and his upbringing and what he was exposed to. Therefore, can he be an objective, impartial, like officer, that is protecting and serving the people rather than, trying to, subconsciously manifest the ideologies that you were brought up with, and now all of a sudden your knee is on the fucking back of a helpless black person calling for his mother. So yeah, I could really get going. You see what you done here? This is supposed to be your interview. It's supposed to talk about your life.
You're 1000% right, and I do think they could have been more careful with their the English teacher in me, former English teacher in me, says that they could have been more careful with the terminology of defund and been a little more specific, but it's tough to do that. I 1000% agree that it needs to start early and that kind of examining needs to go on. Conversely, you need to put more money into this. Yeah. You need to, if you're going to get the best and brightest and people that make these decisions wisely,
right. They need to be in the academy. They need to be in the academy longer than a barber goes to fucking barber school.
Yes. More money in the academy, better testing, better salaries, all of that. So it muddies the message to call it something else. If it's going to be right, they need to invest further. It's the same thing with teachers. I was a teacher. I still work with Beats Not Bullets, and I give back as best I can. And I feel like with the bigger my microphone gets, the more I could actually do, bigger than I could do as a classroom teacher. But like along those same lines, a lot of the best teachers aren't in the areas that I taught in Baltimore because they're not making enough money. The training isn't adequate. The room for growth isn't adequate. There's the support is inadequate. I could go on and on and on. So it's like,
listen, you're preaching to the choir. My mother was a teacher for 40 years. You know what I'm saying? She's one of the best educators I know. Super intelligent, speaks 5 languages.
You get
literally, one of the smartest people I know. So
and
it's
we need more of that. And we're not getting that right now because people don't want to do those jobs because all they see is what is portrayed. And there's having taught in neighborhoods that are difficult. Do
you think? Do you think that people just don't give a fuck anymore? In terms of wanting to educate, is that not a cool profession anymore?
I think it's associated with working too hard and not making enough money. Anytime you tell someone you're a teacher, the first reaction is not, where do you teach? Or did you go to grad school? It's, oh man, I feel for you. It should be, if you're responsible for molding the youth, it should be closer to, oh, wow, that's great. What I mean? That's
similar to police, you know what I'm saying? If we're
same with police.
You need to protect and serve the youth, so it's the stronger the educator, the stronger the education the educated will get. Ooh, that was a I need to write that down. That was a bar.
And we need police that the communities need to, it's a chicken or the egg situation in a way, because it's we need the communities to respect the police more, but the police a lot of police and what's in the media hasn't warranted respect. So it's in order to draw the higher caliber individuals, we need to get them in a better position to win, but at the same time they have to earn that respect back. There needs to be much more grassroots community initiative, even if it's pick up basketball or flag football or you bleed like I bleed.
Go back to the grassroots, of the police department. You know what I'm saying? That actually held community events and did that stuff. And the one thing I wanted to actually talk about, while we're on the subject before we jump back into your story, is I believe that the police officers now should have some form of mental health awareness training and be able to distinguish what is a psychotic episode. And I don't mean somebody running crazy, around, naked, that's on bath salt, but being able to distinguish what is a psychotic episode versus, some sort of, drug interaction. And maybe instead of firing a weapon, maybe you tase them to actually put them down, and render them, unconscious, or a rubber bullet, so that you could actually see that it's not somebody that's a threat. It's somebody that has not taken their medication, you know. And in that sense, I also feel like the people that are in charge of making sure that they take their medication, they need to be held accountable if, you know, or liable if anything fucking happens to them. So, but
well, no, 1000%. You're dealing with a in some cases like the good old boys club, you know, that is not used to being disrupted or accountable and makes excuses like we just saw recently with that tragedy in Atlanta. Like, oh, he had a bad day, and it's like that's an act of terrorism.
a bad day. That was the most premeditated form of fucking hate crime I have seen in the longest time. Like, you went to 3 different locations, and then you're gonna say, oh, you're a sex addict, you know? So it's like that was, you know, your temptation. Like,
no,
so
he defended him. He defended him.
I hope that he gets what's coming to him wherever he goes.
I do too. The thing is that another thing I want worked on is like someone can view this, right? Can view this conversation and could say MC BRAVADO defends actions of police. And it's like, am I? Or like, am I saying that there's the potential for this institution to be what it should be and what it was? You know what I mean? We need to, in this social media era, get better at recognizing nuance and gray.
Yeah, but it's all, I mean, it's all about clickbait nowadays. It's all about, selective hearing like a motherfucker. People hear,
fuck, man, like read, take your time. Like that concerns me. That lack of like, even if I'm arguing on Twitter, I'm a passionate basketball fan. And if I'm arguing on Twitter about Jordan and LeBron and like some of these kids will message me X, Y, and Z, no context, no idea what the statistics really mean, no idea of the era or how it really works. It's very surface headline. You know, there's not, because of the ease of access to information, a lot of people have lost sight of what it means to really understand things. And
Big
that,
facts.
you know, and if they're having a conversation like you and I are having, and it's a debate, they'll go back and forth with you on Twitter all night long when they can Google something and engage. But if they're sitting with you face to face and don't have that at their disposal, they're deer in the headlights. And it's because they're not picking up the information in a meaningful way. So
yeah, I mean, anytime that I get into a debate, you know, like, or any sort of discussion, I always like to not like dominate my position because I need to be the master debater, you know, like, you know, and I know that sounded like masturbator, you know, which I am a masturbator, you know, and I'm getting help.
We all are.
Yeah? You know, it's a fucking pandemic, so it's like, you know, you look at the size of these fucking forums right now.
There you go,
solid,
bro.
Baby.
That's what, you don't need those reverse curls, dog. You got it.
Exactly. Gym's closed. I ain't going there anyway. And those fuckers, you know, took like 3 months of my fucking membership fees, even though it was fucking COVID out there, which we're gonna talk about that too. But anyway, yeah. Bottom line is there needs to be more money put into education, more money put into the police systems. People need to be more objective, and they need to do their research on their own. There is credible information that's out there.
1000%.
Don't watch these radical, you know, sort of channels that are basically, you know, it's almost like forced propaganda, and I don't know how they still exist. It's, you know, it's one thing to be interpretive, you know, and interpret something or perceive or receive it in a certain way, but then to repeddle it or regurgitate it, you know, as if it's fact or truth, and then to, you know, jump and say other people are fake news. It's fucking terrible. It's done a lot to me. Once you realize, it's almost like the Matrix. It's like once you are exposed to the truth, it's like you're woke. You're opened up. You know how the world works. It's literally like I'm about to have a conversation and smoke a blunt with Morpheus and be like, "Yo, you were right, bro."
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. The extent to which it's eye opening is wild, and I think it'll become more widespread. We're at this weird intersection where there is so much more ease of access, but like I said, the depth isn't really happening. But do they choose to? But do they choose to use it? And the fact is that there's still a whole bunch of fucking misguided, uninformed, unintelligent, you know, jerk-offs that voted for him, you know, and here's the thing.
And feel completely justified in peddling the big lie still. So it's like a lot of that is similar to what I said about, I know a bunch of people that I hung out with when I was younger, whose parents wouldn't let black people come in, into their house.
Yeah, it's
you
generational.
have generational racism, and it's terrible.
Conversely, the two-party system is completely archaic. It's got to go. It's not conducive to the nuance that we're talking about.
Agreed.
Two candidates simply aren't. Think about this, dude. On a teaching level, I never did multiple choice. I did short responses, long responses, extended responses, whatever you want to call them, because I wanted people to have to think. And we, as the greatest country in the world, are going to reduce ourselves for the most important office to 2. That's not enough. A or B, true or false, for the president. That's a fucking joke. That's got to go. For our growth, that has to go.
Yep. That shit, only having 2 choices, only worked in the 80s when you got an A and B side of the vinyl, and it's like one of those is going to be hot. That one of them is going to be, but then the other one was going to be a banger.
It creates this polarizing situation. Like, who's the last president we had that truly could shake hands on both sides of the aisle? Clinton, probably, right? Is the last president we've had.
I believe Obama would have, but would they even extend their hand to accept his hand is the question. Because it's like a lot of them are still like, I believe that a lot of the Republican senators are like Proud Boys in disguise. Their ideology is very yesteryear, like fucking, Robert E. Lee, slavery, Confederate should have won, it's fucking nuts. I don't understand it.
The Klan, first of all, but conversely, like there are people on the left too that no matter what.
The Klan did a rebrand.
Like, the Klan, the Klan been in the Senate, bro. Like that's what we're dealing with. That is why I love the version of Watchmen that HBO did, where they. I don't know if you watched it, but
I'm watching Lincoln Divided We Stand, and it's it's fucking amazing.
Watch Watchmen on HBO. You get the superhero stuff, and it takes place after, one of the greatest graphic novels ever written. There's like Time Magazine's top 50 to 100 things you need to read type thing, and this takes place after, and it is absolutely brilliant. Reflection of where things are, but the Klan's been in the Senate, man. But like, it takes at the same time. I 1000% will say the far right is more egregious and more guilty. But I also think there is a portion of the far left that is like, let me rub this in and throw salt in your wound instead of like trying to be
the better person,
diplomatic. Yeah.
And
that's what we need.
I see it too.
That's what we need.
I mean, listen, we need to get back to, good old fashioned democracy. Like,
yes.
working together in order to restabilize the greatest fucking country in the world. Like, there's no reason that we can't get, for the most part, we need our mojo back. Like, it was like, we got a big, the spot, like right between your balls and your ass. We got a big steel toe boot to that of the country. And right now we're recovering, and we need to get our mojo back. We need to know that we are the dominant power that's out there, and shout out to all the other countries, that are out there, what I'm saying? But we America, I live in America, so I'm gonna say it, I'm America, God bless America, and God bless MC BRAVADO for taking his time on the Verified podcast, because he could have been any place in the world. but he's here with us right now. So let's jump back into your story real fast, then we'll go on our political raids, and and we'll have a blast, because once I get, I'm already like halfway done with my jack. So once this fucking thing is done, then it's on and popping. I'll be fucking cursing out the far right, like going like crazy. I'll be like, fuck Fox, fuck them right in the ass. But anyway, and speaking about Fox, because I know that you've been, you've had business dealings where you've been on Fox, you've been on ABC, I'm saying you've been kind of all over the place, and I'm still want to, build who exactly you are as the person. So I think we left off where, you know, your father and his your stepfather, or your biological father.
Yeah, we were talking about
Who was the cop? The biological father or your stepfather?
Biological father was the cop, and his dad was the cop.
And his dad was the cop. Okay.
Yeah, I broke the cycle by being a teacher. But you know, where I taught was like initially was like Eastern Shore, Maryland. It was like too slow to me, so then I jumped to Baltimore, and
okay, B-more.
Yeah,
I recorded my first album in Laurel, which I believe really, really close, like right in the transition, the early years of when like things was still kind of go-go Philly-ish, you know, with the beats that they were producing, but started, you know, like really boom bap hip hop in it with some like dope melodies. And some of my earliest producers, you know, from Laurel, you know, and from B-more, you know, shout them out, because they you know, they sculpted me into the, you know, lyrical, you know, awesomeness that I am, burning down the whole house. But okay, so go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, so things were a little slow on the Eastern Shore for my personal taste. So I came to Baltimore, taught in Baltimore, really fell in love with the scene around here, which revitalized me. I was inspired just by the city and by the creativity that's surrounded me, and got to a point where I was like, I got to really do this. I got to take this to the house. And
when did you actually like fall in love with hip hop? Like when, like, give me like your, like, yeah, give me like, I mean, I know this is a very open-ended question, but fuck it, we could get kind of deep, because, you know, we like that. We creatives.
10, 11 years old.
Yeah, try to give me the earliest hip hop memory that you can give.
Yeah, it was watching MTV and seeing "Killing Me Softly" by the Fugees, and not knowing what it was, just this visceral feeling overwhelming me, and I fell in love with them. And I showed it to my dad, who's a musician, really good guitar player, has played forever. When he was younger, his band opened for like the Beach Boys and shit. He's a, you know, really amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. But he listened to it and he was like, wow, because he's a big R&B fan. And he was like, man, this is better than the Roberta Flack version. And when he gave it his stamp of approval, I was like, I'm on to something. And I listened to their first record, The Translator Crew, which was like much more raw and not commercialized. And obviously there's a lot of politics in the Fugees. And I didn't understand it when I was young, but I just felt it. And then I got into your Nas's, your Hoves, and now I go back and listen to projects like that, and it's a whole other layer, because I actually understand what they're trying to convey. But what initially drew me to hip hop was just the language of the unheard, you know, the visceral, like, and the headiness at the same time. There's a feeling there that you can't get anywhere else. But conversely, there's a level of writing that me as an English teacher can proudly say in front of a school, like, yeah, you might like your X, Y, and Z, but the highest form of writing is in hip hop. The best writers are in hip hop, and I'll wear that on my sleeve till the cows come home, you know?
Yeah, so everyone better move over. And might I say that you have the most fantabulous vocabulary of any of my guests, you know? So I have to commend you. Like, this is you know, I love when there's like someone who's almost poetic, artistic, and lyrical, you know, in his speech. You know, it could have, you know, probably of the likes of Dr. Fauci, you know, like I haven't heard, you know, or my father, you know, like you guys would get along great, because like he still uses words that I'm like, I have to look this word up. Like this, he's like, my father's a genius also. Like I'm in a fucking family full of geniuses. So it's like, if I wasn't a lyrical genius, then, you know, I really would have had problems growing up. So.
But no, you're a great writer, bro. I really appreciate what you do with your freestyle and stuff. I always keep an eye on that, and I'm into it. And you know, we got to look out for our own. You know,
of course, you know, and by our own, we're talking about hip hop, the culture.
Not white people.
We're not talking about white on white, you motherfucking racist motherfuckers.
Lyricists.
For the culture. Lyricists, boom bap fanatics. You know what I'm saying? That you guys fucking, you know, like skip for this trap fucking rap shit. Oh, yeah, that's a bar too. I gotta. What?
Baltimore, baby. Baltimore.
Be more. They having they still fucking doing go-go strip club fucking music over there. Damn.
That's that's the soundtrack. The fire department's a couple blocks away, so every time something bad happens, I know about it.
No, you know what it is? They just heard those bars that I was spitting, and the fire department came because I just burned the shit down. You know what I'm saying?
There it is.
So when did you actually start noticing that you were nice, with the pen?
I grew up playing basketball, and
I can see how the two relate. I got it. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm fucking.
And people, I guess, like, I felt a type of way. I didn't get along with a coach when I was in high school, like a specific coach, and I wound up quitting. And I needed something. I needed something to gravitate towards. The culture was bullshit. It was a favoritism type situation. Kind of sucked at his job. I saw the floor more than he did as a sophomore, junior in high school. So I was like, I'm out of here. I needed to figure out another outlet, and I found this. I was always a writer. My first dream was to be a sports writer. I'm still passionate about all that, but Militant Marksman, who is my main producer, where he's my oldest friend in the world, and I got him listening to rap music, and he started to write. And then I was like, if Marksman can do it, I can do it. And I started,
that little competitive edge, big. He can do it.
He still MCs. Better. He still MCs, but now he's more a producer, and he produces like at least half my records type thing.
That's dope. Listen, I like my best friend in the world. Shout out to Rome Music. Track on the studio. Like, I mean, he's like the person that I like first kind of came into the game with, like one of my best friends that I'm still, best friends with, and I still record at his studio all the time, so shout out Rome Makes Music, and that, keep the bonds and friends with the people that really fuck with you. That's the biggest thing in the world. Like, I mean, stop thinking that everyone's your friend when they're really not.
Yeah, and this, I mean, copycat fucking industry and people, God, man, like it's wild. But like, yeah, he got me into it on the writing tip, and I gotta say, in some ways it's satisfying, because when I started, and even into college, it was like you were cool if you had your varsity letters and if you played for the school team or this and that. And honestly, I was like, I'm not going to say I was clown, because I was kind of nice from jump, especially with battling. Like, I earned my stripes like right away. So it's not like people openly clown me, but I know people would, the guy you went to high school with still rapping this, that type thing. But conversely, all y'all are working wherever you're working, and God bless the 9 to 5. Like, a lot of people I love do that, and there's plenty to admire there. But let me take a head count of all you who are living off your passion, and then come back to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and here the fuck I am still.
Do you have a microphone anywhere close by? Boom! Y'all motherfuckers heard it. And I said this on a lot of my earlier podcasts. That basically, like 0.1% of people in the entire universe can actually put themselves in a position to chase their dreams.
Yeah.
0.1% of that 0.1% actually get a chance to live their dreams, where it actually, whether it's just getting by, it's like, if you can live your dreams and you're just getting by, but you're living your dreams, you are like that. That's a sign of ultimate success. And I don't give a fuck if your bank account, only says $1,400, because the stimmy just hit. But
there it is.
but as long as you could turn your lights on and wake up in the morning and not like walk in front of the mirror and be like, yo, fuck you. That's a sign of success, and I tell that people all the time who are like, oh, you're still trying to do it. You're still trying to do it. I'm like, yo, I'm making money where I don't have to go and work a 9 to 5 job. If I even choose to, it would be to put myself in an even better position, or, there really is no reason, because I'm making money, that I can take care of myself, where I'm fine. I'm comfortable. I feel that I've achieved a certain level of success because I'm doing what I love, and the lights are on, or at least one of them is, I got to get the other bulbs fixed. I don't really know where the money's coming from, but I'm doing fine. Trust me.
That's right.
Trust me. But what you said, all of these people, Are they really living out their passion? No, they're probably in like boring ass 9 to 5s. They fucking hate their lives. They go to the bar after work when the pandemic is over. You know, they hate their wives, you know, and hopefully they're not homicidal killers where they beat them and fucking, you know, like do bad things to them, where you hear SVU music.
It's that part too. It's like, oh, you know, and again, I would never like poo-poo the institution of marriage or having children. I think that's beautiful, but like, because I haven't, you know, don't use that as a metric for success. Don't use any of the above as a metric. Like, happiness is the metric, flexibility is the flex. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, I can,
right. I mean, you have to get, I mean, Meek Mill said it best, you know, there's levels to this shit. You know what I'm saying? You have to decide for yourself, what do I deem successful? And don't you guys dare look at the fucking rap videos and fucking on TV, because that's a false sense of security right there. They're not like, they're still people, you know, at the end of the day with bills to pay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's all scalable. It's like your mortgage at fucking, you know, like $1,900 is the same thing as their mortgage of 19,000, but they're pulling in a lot more money. So don't deem like a big house or a fancy car or a fucking hot fucking chick. I mean, a hot chick is a fucking good sign of success, but
universal.
You know,
that's like, yeah, that's universal.
You know, so any hot chicks out there, I'm still single. Hit me up. And I'm safe and vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? Like, what a fucking, listen, if that ain't a fucking like turn on for these girls, if they ain't getting them fucking soaking wet, I'm vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? That's like, I'm like triple safe. You know, we could breathe the same air again. So
facts. No, that's, yeah, flexibility is the ultimate flex, man, and being happy and whatever your definition. I would never, again, like, you know, my mother she didn't have a college education, and she worked her ass off and now makes 6 figures as like an HR like head essentially. And that's pure grind, work ethic, pushing, showing up, killing. I would never dismiss a 9-to-5 lifestyle. That is for her, and she's fucking incredible at it. And she's the hardest working person I know, and what she's been through is what pushes me. But what I'm saying is, you can't shit on us either. You can't shit on us for doing what we do. You can't shit on us for being happy to have that freedom and to create our life each and every day. There's beauty in that. So it's kind of like, don't judge me, I'm not going to judge you.
That's right. Listen, I had an 8 to 6 for like 10 years. You know, I worked for JP Morgan Chase. I worked for one of the, you know, most prestigious banks in the country. I was a relationship manager for business, and I was fucking awesome at it because I owned my own business for years. But, you know, like at some point I was just not happy at all. Like, it's like I took a break from music completely, and I was like, so I needed to experience that corporate lifestyle also, because I had always been a street kid, you know, in a rap group back in the day, you know what I'm saying, with some gangsters and hustlers, you know, and pimps and shit like that. So it's like, that was the lifestyle that I knew, but I wanted to try the corporate world because I was also like, you know, I mean, you going anywhere for a little bit? This goes a little bit deep. So it all started when my ex-girlfriend left me, and that kind of broke my heart. And it takes a real man to break that shit down and let you know that, like, I was broken. I was literally like, okay, well, if this girl don't want me, you know, who the fuck wants, you know, #1 unsigned artist on MySpace, you know, living in a 3-bedroom apartment, driving a fucking 1982 Toyota Corolla that you got to fucking like fit your fucking feet and fucking ass through the fucking passenger side door just to get to the fucking driver's seat because the fucking door doesn't fucking work anymore. And I was like, What girl wants that? And then I was like, I need to change my life. You know, something happened with music. I'm not really going to get into it, but like, there was something that that just rubbed me so the wrong way. And as a street kid, rather than like picking, you know, going to arms and fucking killing people, I was like, I'm going to get a job. I was like, I'm going to try something different, you know? So I don't shit on the 9-to-5s either, because I lived that life for a lot of years. And now I do a lot of consulting for people to help them with their business. I'm part of a networking group on IG Live with a 20-year bad boy exec named Sean Prez. You should come in. You would fucking love this. You know, 7 p.m. every Wednesday, Sean Prez, Power Mover Makers. You need to check out this IG Live. Trust me. Sure. It's fucking great. So when did you first get into the studio and start recording? And I want you to tell me what's going through your brain, who's in the room, who's doing the recording, you know, because I want the people to know who you actually are, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, for, you know, let's address the elephant in the room. It's like, when you're a white MC, there's a certain sort of performance that you need to make in the studio for whoever is around, because your credibility is already on the line from Jump Street, unless you're in there with like one of your best friends and nobody else knows.
That's so. Yeah, so to carry on, that was Marksman. Still, he bought a 12 track, and I started there, and then I got my own. So like by the time I was in the studio in front of anyone that I had to make an impression, in front of and separate myself, I wasn't that nervous because it was already my backyard, and it's always been therapeutic. It's always been what I live, what I breathe. So like I've never felt I've had to put on or even impress anyone, because like there's certain white rappers that you associate with being white, and there are others that like say like Evidence, right? Like Evidence, for example, people, or Slug from Atmosphere, even though he's part Native American, part Black, like most people don't know that, they associate him with being white, right? Aesop Rock, same thing. Like I'm
just gonna shake my head. I'm not familiar with their music. I have heard their names, but I'm just gonna shake my head just because in case they're watching or some of their, I love them.
Well, so these are white rappers that
are they good?
They're amazing. So,
okay, awesome. I fucking love them.
So but the idea is that like them being white isn't the first thing that comes up. So like I've always felt like from the way I sound to the way I approach my marketing to the way I carry myself, me being white is just me being white. It's not a selling point. It's not something I fucking, really put that much emphasis on. So like,
when I first started, I did.
Well, you started a little earlier where like you kind of had to.
Basically, when I started, it was like, I didn't know no better. It was like, I thought that, and plus I was smoking a lot of weed and doing a lot of drugs back then, so it's like, so yeah, oh no, it was the world.
Cheers.
The fucking world was, cheers. And I, as you see, I have the bottle covered, so this way, because like I said, in my last pod, exactly. And I know that this drink is not for the culture, but I actually found out that one of my boys just opened up a liquor company, and I think I could use him because, he's for the culture. He is a rapper, so, as long as the price is right, then I will switch my drink, because I am not scared of making money and promoting my boy's business. So
as you can be.
Absolutely. But I mean, back in the day, it's like, I remember I had a song. I was like, one of the chorus of the song was, just because I'm white don't mean I can't rap, and just because I'm white don't think you can't get slapped. In fact, when I rap, you'll be sweating my tracks. And it was like JOE. It was I performed this shit on TV. It was like, if I had like if I had a manager with any common sense, and shout out to my first manager, it'd be like, this is not what you should be doing. Like, you got bars, you don't need to do that shit. That would be almost considered like gimmicky, back in the day. So
yeah, I feel like you do have bars, and I don't think you necessarily do need to go that route, but I can understand why back then that you had to.
Yeah, I mean, I was just a punk fucking little kid, that was smoking a lot of weed, and I thought that because like I had the best vocabulary and I was fucking intelligent, and I was always writing poetry, and I could put together fucking words, quicker than fucking people that can put together a fucking, a baby Lego set. It's like I was just able to, hang with the best of them, and I only time I ever lost a battle is when it was kind of like, I'm not even going to go into it, but the people who threw the battle were the people who won the previous year.
Oh yeah. So
it was
I've lost in situations like that too. I'll play it in quotes. I've never been beaten outright ever.
I mean, and this is also when it was like you had to go freestyle off the top of your head,
Yeah, I was there for that too.
Send fucking rap cats to their final resting bed. 2 shots, they fucking covered with red. Their fucking shirt used to be white, but now they fucking dead. And so it's like back in the day, you had to kind of prove who you were. And I remember, I remember battling on fucking, December fucking 31st, 1999, going into 2000. I fucking battled like my arch nemesis, who used to be my best friend, and I battled like my girl was with me, and he had like 17 or 18 of his people, and I smoked them so much so that I got fucking set up fucking later that night, and I got jumped on fucking Y2K. So
bro, those motherfuckers are the most garbage people. It's like going into the ring as a boxer and expecting to not get fucking punched.
I'm still gonna kill that one person. Before I leave this earth, I am inflicting some sort of fucking pain. I don't care how mature and how wise I am. I know two wrongs don't make a right. I was fucking raised right, but there's just something that's not right in the head when that moment comes to me. So it's like I'm gonna seek some sort of retaliation at some point, maybe.
The first major battle I was a part of was the same kind of thing. It was like over a beat freestyle situation, and the people who threw it, the guy who was hosting, like, is a self-proclaimed legend, not an actual legend. And when he,
what's his name? Let's put him on blast, unless I've had him on my podcast. You know,
no, we're not going to do that. But I had gotten to the final, and the person who was supposed to face me, I put on a fucking show that night, freestyling, and the person who was supposed to face me left. So I'm 17 at the time. This dude left. I win. Instead, they place somebody I know who I've done stuff with since, who's actually the homie. They put him against someone I had already beaten. They put him against me again. And when I was going against him, he did the old, like, he guessed what I was going to say and he mouthed it. And the person hosting, who was in the group that they would throw battles, but then they would headline them as a group. He said written into the microphone. So I looked at him and I was like, written. And I started ripping him and his whole crew. Like, they were hosting the battle and I'm 17. These dudes are like 27. Right. And I'm just fucking going in. So like half the crowd is for me. Half the crowd is for the person that was basically defending them, who had already lost that night, who they put against me. They called that a draw. And it was just like, this is a joke, but it taught me my own power as an MC, to where, like, man, I've ruffled way more feathers just speaking my mind. And, you know, in that instance, like, I was just like, this is bullshit. Okay, I wrote that. Well, let me tell you about yourself if you think that I wrote that, you know. And
yeah, he said there's all dudes in here except for these bitches.
That was my moment. That was the closest thing to an 8 Mile moment that I ever had, for sure. But I missed that part of the culture. Like, I missed the samurai part of it. Like, no matter where I was, I had something ready. Who's the nicest in this area? I had a little something. I had a little free. On top of that, I would mix it in. Like, I was ready. I was ready to go like a fucking boxer, wherever I was.
Listen, I mean, it's I mean, if you get real, I mean, I'm sure you could probably understand this, but it gets almost into like the teachings of Bruce Lee, you know, and Jeet Kune Do, the foundation of it, basically being able to adapt to the situation. You know, it's not basically, you know, mastering one style, it's mastering all styles and being able to adapt to whatever style you need at that moment of time, similar to how freestyling is, you know, or, you know, like coming at them, you know, depending on what they're wearing, you know, in the situation, you know, saying how you know, how cleanly, fresh and shaven, you know, used against them, you know, how outdated, you know, their sneakers are, you know, being able to basically how strong your kung fu is at that time, you know, and being able to fire it right off the top of your head. That part of the culture I really miss, because it's like
I did too,
because I was very good at it.
Well,
like coming off the top of the head and being able to spit some shit that'll fucking, you know, and leave you fucking like guessing like it's fucking advanced arithmetic. You know, people will be like, yo, you nice with this shit.
I'm going to call a spade, bro. Like, ease of accessibility has happened across the board. Like, people can be artists that normally would have been fans, and this caters to that. Like, you know, it caters to not have that skill. Oh, that's not necessary. You don't need that. Why? Because it's easier to not have that. It's easier to not have to do that. So that's how I feel about it.
Back in the day, that was the learning to crawl before you walked, before you even tried to run. It's like you need to be able to, you know, like, yo, if somebody came up to you and was ready to fucking spit some shit, you got to be ready to, you know, like put up those fisticuffs, except fight with your words, you know.
Nas not being able to freestyle was an anomaly that was only accepted because of his contributions to the culture and how fucking vicious his pen was. But your everyday rapper that couldn't freestyle would be frowned upon. You know what I'm saying? But like somebody like that, the heaviest of the heavy, like a Nas, like you get that pass. Nowadays, like 90% of these cats can't freestyle. And what drives me nuts is platforms like Genius. Like, why is a platform like Genius giving airtime to people who don't require annotation or further reading? Like, Genius is about breaking it down. Does Lil Pump need to be broken down?
I mean, think about the premise of the word genius.
Right.
Like, unless you're on some superior lyrical level that it needs a genius to basically break it down for you, I feel like that platform should only be reserved for that. But
right, and it's not. Clearly, it's not.
The almighty paycheck, the almighty dollar, and I'm not mad at it. You know, I mean, I am mad at it, but at the same time, it's like I understand business wise why they would do that. I think he had like I think he released a video with him and has like nails like, you know, like one of the girls that used to fucking blow me, you know, and like, I mean, they're very pretty, you know what I'm saying, but I don't understand it. I don't get it. I mean, whatever. I mean, if that's your thing, cool, you know. But do I think that platform should be reserved for the upper echelons, you know, of the culture? Absolutely. And
I do too. And sadly, it's not. But you know, the other option, the only option, is to just make the most fire, palatable music that's still sick with it underneath. Like, that's why, like, Ernest Hemingway is like my favorite writer, you know, and he had what's called like the Iceberg Theory, and the idea is that you can see above the surface, but to an iceberg there's so much more. And he would write it to you in a non-circuitous, straightforward way, a palatable way, but he's saying so much more. And the rapper that mastered that is like a Jay-Z. He'll adapt to anything decade after decade and sound dope on it, but have some coded deeper shit to it. And I used to think sounding the most hyper technical I could sound. Can you grab that? I used to think sounding the most hyper technical I could sound.
I thought that like, first quick second, I thought those were gunshots going.
Bro, yeah, it'll be like UPS, and they're doing cop knocks.
Someone doing trigger tachi. I was like, damn. I was like, duck.
But like the idea of being the most, like, I used to think being like the most hyper technical you could be was like the highest form of writing. But in fact, it's like it's the being most straightforward.
Like the most frowned upon. It's crazy. Crazy.
It's more being the most straightforward you can be, but sneaking in the technical stuff is really the highest form, making it something that universally people will love, but at the same time you're saying some shit. That's
right. Give them a punchline that actually leaves them like, oh shit, like that. Like Biggie was dope, you know, at doing that.
One of the best at that. One of the best at that. And I love that he's saying more.
Exactly. You know, like, it's like he painted that picture, you know, that like you actually see, like when he said, he was like, you know, I could hear sweat trickling down your cheeks. It's like you actually saw like somebody with fucking like a little sweat trickling down their cheeks.
The imagery is nuts. The imagery is nuts. That's what I'm saying. People like that are the best, you know. That, you know, I'm a big Kendrick fan. I'm a big Lupe Fiasco fan. I'm a big Royce the 5'9" fan.
I love Royce. I love Black Thought. I haven't given Lupe enough time. It's like, to tell you the truth, I'm very much stuck in a yesteryear of music, and I don't really give, you know. I mean, I hate to say, I mean, I probably should, because I do have this platform that is emerging and it is doing great things. And I'm sure that I'm missing out on fucking greatness, but which maybe you could, like, you know, suggest things to me, because I'm always a student to the game and I want to learn. But it's like, I'm very caught up in like what I love to hear back in the day, because it's what I love to hear now. And it's like, if I actually do get in my car, it's like I have like I still, you know, listen to a CD, and I do have, a flash drive, but it's like I have like 40 songs that, like, between Wu-Tang and Smooth the Hustler and fucking, you know, Ice-T and DV Alias Christ, it's like I have enough to just keep me occupied while I'm in the car without actually giving much attention to, you know, stuff that I'm probably missing. So I'm at fault. My hip hop card should be revoked, but it's not going to be, because I could fight.
I was going to say that's never going to happen. Do you care if I restroom real quick? Just hit the restroom.
Go ahead. Absolutely. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll press pause. So basically, whenever you can, send me over some, tracks that I should, have in my arsenal, because I'm missing out on some greatness, because I am a student of the game and I do love hip hop. So I'm always, that'd be great to rediscover songs that, I've never heard before. So
I got you for sure. Yeah. I'll hit you even some of the newcomers that are really dope and kind of carrying it on. Yeah. Entirely.
Dope. What are you listening to now anyway?
Honestly,
or should I say, who do you like that's new that's out there?
Who do I like that's new? Well, see, the guys I like that are new aren't that new. Like, I like Vince Staples, Anderson .Paak. I guess they're new as in the last decade. I honestly think, out of, obviously there's like a ton of babies. I think Da Baby from fucking North Carolina, from Charlotte, is pretty dope.
Yeah, he got a wave right now, like, that I haven't seen in a while. So, like I just like that hip hop takes it to new levels. So it's like, I'm a fan of his music, but I haven't, like, bought it or purchased it. I don't follow him or anything like that. But, I'm a champion for the culture regardless. So it's like, and I don't feel like, as a boom bap rapper, and part of that scene, I'm conforming, like, this is the culture, what it is, and I respect it, because I respect my elders and I respect the people that come after me. So it's like, I love the wave, because it's like, yo, get that money, elevate this culture, make hip hop the most dominant thing in the fucking world, because that's what I love, and that's how I get paid.
Absolutely. And these guys aren't rappers. I also like, I like St. John. I like, I love The Weeknd. There's a lot on that R&B side I really fuck with. I still listen to, it's funny, if I'm driving around, I'm listening to like 90s alternative rock, like I listen to a lot of that. There's not too many, I guess, like brand spanking new types that I can really co-sign yet. I gotta get to know them and listen. But sometimes I hear something and I'm like, well, this isn't bad, or this has potential, or I'm curious to see what they do in a couple of years type thing. I don't hate all of it. I think
I love how you said that so candidly. You're like, I don't hate all of it.
I don't.
But the cool thing is, though, that I see that you are very, like, excuse me, very in tuned to what's going on, because you could hear it in, a lot of your new tracks. It's like, like I've had a chance to, like, listen to them, for a while, and actually sit and analyze them. And, and I run like a review show. That's why I always tag you, on IG Live when I do it with Shampoo. Shout out to the God, Shampoo. Now he's running, Smoke Champs for Noriega. But it's like, I could hear, the evolution of the progression of, I'm trying to, sound very fucking, vocabularyistic,
You don't have to do that around me, man. People feel that way sometimes. You don't have to do that.
Yo, the shit is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could give you my opinion on 3 in particular songs that kind of, like, stuck in my head. Like, I listened to, Yeah Baby. That was, I mean, you want me to be honest with you, and you can curse me out,
Go ahead.
that was actually one of the not so favorable tracks that I've heard from you, and I've heard a lot, and you've always been super consistent with at least it appealing on a certain level. Like, I mean, have I thought they've been like the fucking breakout jams? I thought the JopauL joint was really, really dope, and I'm surprised that didn't do, more numbers than it did. You know what I'm saying? But you've been super consistent for a long fucking time, and I've been following you for a lot of fucking years. So it's like, Yeah Baby was my least favorite of the 3 that I listened to. Dirty 30, like, the lyrics, like out of the park, out of the park. The hook, I fucking hated it. I hated the hook. Like, I mean, it was like that was like a dope fucking song. It's like, who is gonna and listen, I could be drunk right now. I am drunk right now. So it's like, I'm gonna speak my mind. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we're on that level. We're friendly enough where I can be as honest as possible. And I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot, but I don't know everything. So I'm trying to think, who is gonna want to, like, sing that hook, like, out there, because it's like the lyrics and the beat you know what I'm saying? Like basically take you on a fucking journey, you know, and you could fucking move to it. But then when I heard the, you know, 30-30, you know, I was like, I was like, I don't love it. I was like, I don't hate it, but I was like, I don't love it. But
You'd be
that's just
surprised. It does
that,
what that song does really well.
I am from New York, you know what I'm saying? It could rain in different markets. I mean, and I'm 40 years old. Like, I mean, like, and I'm drinking, you know, a
It's
lot
no,
lately.
so
It's a pandemic.
it's a more contemporary hook mixed in with the classic golden era verses and beat, you know. So I could see why the hook necessarily wouldn't be your cup of tea, but you'd be surprised because that hook is what draws in a lot of the younger folk that end up then listening to the verses closer.
See,
Because
what
the
do I
hook
know?
is
Listen, I don't have a hit song, so
no, it's
I shouldn't say a goddamn thing. So
what about 4
what
a.m.?
do I know?
What do you think of 4 a.m.?
4 a.m. I fucking love it. I fucking love 4 a.m.
That's what we.
Right.
There we.
Yeah,
Cheers
listen,
to that.
with there,
That's what I needed. I needed one love to one.
absolutely 4 a.m. because it like it had that authentic feel, even though it had like, you know, it had like the popping of the record needle, you know, that Mobb Deep, you know, like made, you know, like famous, and it like it almost had like a cadence and like a musical pattern of what the fuck is that song? That goes loving you. It's like that little that the chord progression in that sounded very, very similar to that, but it was very comforting, and it was like, I like this, and it sucked me in immediately. And then with that record pop, it was like boom, and then the lyrics on top of that, it was like, all right, dude, smash the fucking shit out of this one, you know what I'm saying? And so 4 a.m. and it stuck out, you know, most to me because I just got on a remix called 5 a.m. I don't know if you ever heard it, and it was like literally it's with Fredro Starr from Onyx, and it's with
Nice.
Sheik Luch from the Locks. And the producer hit me up, and you know, and he made this like a challenge after he gave it to me, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, I love what you do. Yo, I think you would fucking murder this. And I was like, and he had already sent me like a couple of beats. So I was like, all right. And I just annihilated the fucking shit out of that fucking record. So
Send it.
yeah, I'll definitely send that to you. But like, if you want to like know how to like legitimately commit a murder, you definitely have to listen to my verse in every fucking word.
Hey,
you know?
That's how I feel about my second verse in Like Kobe. Being on a record with JopauL and people hitting me and being like,
I love that record. I fucking love that record.
By the way, this can be with you first. This month, April, I got featured on a Crooked Eye record, a record not Crooked Eye record, a record that Crooked Eye's on.
Okay.
Me, Crooked Eye, and somebody else. And then there's another record I'm on that has Jaron Benton on it. And it is so I'm with you. Like, the reason why I was so proud of 4 a.m. was that I did a pop tune, a very pop sensible record, but I still rapped on it. I still showcased a level of skill on it. And then on top of that, I'm hitting you with ciphers. I'm hitting you with the JopauL record. Now this Crooked record and Jaron Benton record. And it's like, nobody can box me in as anything. Like, you can't box me in as like old head lyrical rapper and then listen to 4 a.m., which has like smash written all over it. So it's like, that's
agreed.
kind of this, you know, that's
and you can't escape the fact that no matter what, like your lyrical this is gonna rhyme right now, but where's my fucking pen? I should be actually I am recording this. What am I talking about? Like your lyrical presence presents your superior intelligence. That's a fucking bar right there. Hold on, I got a fucking
Thank you.
Marker. You know, remember that bar because I'm gonna use that in one of my freestyles. But it's like, no matter what you do, you could always tell that you are way ahead on the intellectual scale than a lot of rappers, even from the golden era. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a student of that game because it's like as a lyricist, we just know who our competition is, you know, out there, you know, and your intellect shines super bright, you know, on there. So it's like you got one step ahead. So it's like it's the essence of what we grew up with, almost like he who has the most vast vocabulary dominates the lyrical scene. So it's like, and you have you know, you have Jeopardy facts on top. Like, I mean, you're probably the only person that we could probably watch Jeopardy and you'd give me a run for my money. I'm convinced. But we could put some money on it. Listen, when
we'll
COVID's
do that.
over,
We'll do that sometime. When the world opens up, you and I will get drunk and watch Jeopardy and see what happens.
Let's go. Put money on this motherfucker. Rest in peace, Alice Trebek, by the way, because that's a god right there. But so anyway, so in wrapping up, you know, like, I mean, I know there's so much of your story that I wanted to tell, but it's like there's only so much that we could do, you know what I'm saying, within the span, you know, of one thing. And I hope you do come back, you know, and chop it up with the Verified podcast. And I do appreciate you taking your time, you know, on this, you know, Friday night, you know, when I know you could be, you know, out there, you know, trying to, you know, like violate CDC guidelines and fuck some bitches without your mask on, you know, but, and I respect it because I'm lonely too. Trust me. You know,
we're all in this together, brother. We are in this together.
That's a motherfucking fact. That's a fact. And if you know, as a friend, you know what I'm saying, even, you know, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. If you ever need to talk or you ever need, you know, somebody to vent to or just, you know, chop an idea with or anything like that, and you need somebody impartial that, you know, is, you know, not going to be, you know, a bullshit or, you know, or like, you know, cling to your fame or try to, you know, ride your coattails. Holla at me anytime you need to. I'm always there for you, brother. You know what I'm saying? I consider you a brother. I consider you a friend. You know what I'm saying?
Thanks.
Like, so consider me an asset and an ally to whatever you do and a champion for your success. So before
1000%. Thank you. And same to you. Like, you're definitely one of my favorite people that we kind of came across, you know, on IG and have supported each other, but you're right there for me too. So whatever you need, a text away, a call away, for real.
That's right. It's like Tupac with unconditional love. Yeah. So before I let you go, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you? And before you even say that, I'm going to make sure that you guys look out for the blue check next to his name, because that means he's verified. That's why he's on the Verified podcast. That's why I got an I'm Verified shirt. Like, there's a method to my madness. You know what we do. Take it away, BRAVADO.
So yeah, man, I'm not Champagne Poppy, so it's MC BRAVADO everywhere. I'm not that cool.
I thought I was talking to Drake the whole fucking time. Are you fucking kidding me?
I keep that. I'm at least 80% as handsome. I keep it real simple. It's MC BRAVADO. If you're on the Googles, it's just MC space BRAVADO, and everywhere else it's all together MC BRAVADO. The last album I put out was called The Living Game. I think it was one of the best records of that year. Front to back, fucking fire. Thank you. We got another album coming. We have some other real slick shit up our sleeves in addition to the features I mentioned, like 4 videos in the can. We're rocking and rolling and ready to go. Thank you so much for having me, brother. All love to you.
Absolutely, man. Listen, anytime you want to chop it up, I am always available. I love that you took your time out for me. You know, we got, you know, real deep and personal. We even got political on here, which I never like to do, but secretly it's like I love to fucking rant about it, because it's like I feel like people are just dumb and they're just uneducated and they don't like really know how to do their own research and learn that, like, you need to read. Like, I mean, that's why like they teach reading in school. Like, I mean, reading, you know, it's fundamental. I mean, people have lost that, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I appreciate your time, man. And anything I can do to help you in your future, you know, I'm always here. You know, and we definitely have got to get a track going, because I know that the fucking lyrical fucking tornado that we're gonna fucking monsoon on the fucking country, you know, we'll need more than FEMA to handle the fucking rescue. You know what I'm saying? But I like to end it with a quote that I like everyone to apply to their life. You know, and it's a very, very simple, you know, sort of, you know, metaphorical, you know, sort of statement, which is, we are all just here for a small cup of coffee. I'm just trying to drink it while it's still hot. I'm your boy. I am JopauL. We are brought to you by Radio Pushers of Results and No Hype. This has been the Verified Podcast. Check us out at theverifiedpodcast.com. Motherfuckers, get your blue check up. The only fucking podcast that interviews verified artists. I respect everybody, and I am going to do an episode, a couple of episodes where it should be verified episode, because I do feel like there are a couple of people that just haven't gotten a chance to get verified yet for some reason or another, you know, and haven't figured out the secret sauce of how to do it. So I'm going to try to do it, because my platform runs through, you know, Google News. So that qualifies as one of the conditions to get verified, I heard. So, or at least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, we were just chopping it up with MC BRAVADO. I am your boy. I am JopauL. Peace and love. make sure you fucking wear a mask and wash your ass. One love.